All right, guys, this is Jesse from Hard Forking. We actually have some really exciting news. I just read this now. We're going to find out who Satoshi Nakamoto is. And it turns out it's really... One BTC and 32 ETH.
And we are back, people. Welcome to 1 Bitcoin and 32 Ethereum. We hope that the show has helped many of you get closer to that mark. Welcome back to my co-hosts, Stefano and Mr. Gonzo. How are you, boys?
What up, what up, what up?
All good.
All right. Well, I'm still not that great. Anyone that watches this channel has seen how crook I've been this week, but I love you all so much that I get out of bed to do it for you, even when I'm feeling terrible. So a hell of a lot to cover today in this short show. So let's get right into it, people. But first, look, if you want to support this channel, we hope many of you do. Link below to Bybit. Check it out. $200 in bonuses. Yeah. So if you are an experienced trader, please use our link. Thank you very much. So on today's show, we are going to be looking at what airdrops are available for you all. We're going to be looking at Cyberfi again. We did the long form interview with those guys yesterday, explaining what an IDO is. But first, meme of the week.
That was amazing. That's the best meme ever.
Well, best news ever. Why don't we start there, guys, before we get into anything else? Let's biggest news of the week. Stefano, I'm sure this one made you very happy. Tell us all about it, Visa and Ethereum.
Okay, so we're gonna look at like the Nina's article, but simply because it's from Forbes, but in reality it could be any others. I think that like everybody has talked about this, have covered this in some way or another. Yep. In super simple, what it means is that Visa has used USDC, so the stable coin.
Get on the right article, man.
Huh?
Get on the right article.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. By the way, if you want to buy a Vitaminix, there is like an
He's
amazing...
a very smart guy, and he can teach you a lot about crypto, people. But yeah.
But focus now. Forget about Visa. Focus on the Vitaminix 2500 series. It's the best.
Oh, fantastic! I'll have two, please.
Vitaminix. Now going back on the right article. So Visa has basically used USDC, so the stable coin, to do a settlement. And obviously, because the USDC is a stable coin, is a ERC20, they actually by default use the Ethereum blockchain to do that. Now, a lot of people got very, very excited on that. Obviously, you know, we're always trying to like put things in perspective in the proper way. If we're reading the article in a proper way, in super simple, we will see that the transaction has been like helped by crypto.com. Now, crypto.com, as many of you probably knows already, or if you don't, crypto.com has the CRO token and they are developing their own blockchain. Now, a tons of people that wants to support Ethereum are saying that this is like a very good news for Ethereum. Now, the big question mark is that, is this a short-term good news for Ethereum, or is it also going to be a long-term good news for Ethereum? Because there is the possibility that, you know, in the long into OMG, Binance, and so on, USDC might actually be cross-chain, moving to the CRO blockchain, and therefore the Visa might actually opt to use the CRO blockchain instead of Ethereum for those settlement. If that would be the case, that moves completely from being like a very good use case for Ethereum to becomes like a not so cool use case for Ethereum, because it means that the ecosystem is losing pieces on that. But overall, it is a tremendous good news for the space as it all, because it means that like a traditional service provider like Visa is basically starting embracing blockchain solutions for, you know, operations, which is what everybody wants in the space at that point.
Okay. Very good. So, I mean, on that note, the other things that kind of stuck out for me this week, we've had Coinbase hiring former SEC director Brett Redfern, I believe is his name. It's sort of off the back of Binance doing something very similar last week. I think we covered that in last week's show, Marcus Bacchus. So effectively here, what we're seeing is these big crypto players bringing in, you know, these traditional politicians, finance people, to look at compliance, the regulatory framework where this industry is maturing very, very quickly here. What are your comments on these type of moves, and maybe if we can also sort of segue into here with what's happening at LBRY, a decentralized project we like that the SEC is hitting with a stick at the moment. So we're seeing a hell of a lot of action in this space. So maybe Stefano, do you want to lead off with some comments on these moves?
I think that like it shows kind of like that the players in the space like Coinbase and Binance are now getting to a size that is big enough or is important enough to start playing the game with the rules of, you know, the regulators. You don't get politicians and like people at that level for, you know, understand what you can or you cannot do. You got those people because in the US it's super common, you do lobbying. Those people have connections. Those connections means that you can do like a solid push to approve something. If anybody has been following what happened in Wyoming, for example, Wyoming has approved the DAO as a legal company, basically. Now, I'm not going to go into details too much of that thing, but the main point of that is like, how do you obtain those things to actually pass and be available and legal? By doing lobbying. That's a classic thing. So I think that it's nice to see that, like, you know, big players are actually like pushing into that direction. Obviously, they're going to force to like have their main interest first. So Coinbase is going to make sure to do their own interest. Binance is going to make sure to do their own interest. But because there are like massive blockchain players at this point and crypto players, I think that overall people are going to be in a huge benefits overall on something like that. On the other side, we obviously have to not forget that the SEC is doing the SEC job. The SEC has been like in a matter of like the past like what 3-4 months, 6 months, whatever it is, as being after like Ripple, as being like having the settlement in New York with Tether. Like the SEC is going after every single crypto to ensure that like they're cleaning all the problems that there are. Why are they doing that? One, it's their job. Two, they need obviously to ensure that the space is becoming regulated and safe and in place because adoption is happening. And in the case of LBRY, now I'm gonna take like the side of LBRY because I like that as a project, and I find that like they took that as an approach that like in many of the points of the SEC, one of the points was very funny because like they were mentioning that there might be like some sort of issues with the system because like in some of their marketing material, they use the rocket, the spaceship rocket, which means going to the moon, obviously, for the prize. So the SEC is assuming that, you know, there might be like some price manipulation, sales of securities, like those type of things because of the emotes that is being used. It's obviously shows like that we're kind of like stretching things a little bit too much at this point.
What I heard is that the reason that the SEC is actually going after them and the reason they went after Ripple was pre-mines. And then like with the pre-mine and the security, that's like, that's no good. So
and that's the
it's
thing.
not necessarily that it's just a crypto or it's decentralized, but it's the fact that both those projects had like substantial pre-mines beforehand. And, you know, like that's rule number one if you're investing in a
Jordan,
real
could you just explain pre-mines very quickly to people that might not understand what that is?
So it traditionally comes from proof of work, right? So they would start mining the chain before it's publicly available. So, you know, the dev would be like, oh, I got my chain going, and he'd mine, you know, 1,000 coins for himself before they go on sale. And then other people have the ability to mine them. So it's not really a fair launch. So either dev or however, like, Ripple's immaculate conception or however the fuck they made their chain, they have a huge stack of their tokens that are considered a pre-mine. So they necessarily weren't mined, but it's basically just like, you have, and they do it with, staking, and they'll hide them under like marketing funds, right? Or they'll hide them under like team allocations or something, right? And it's basically just like a moon bag for the team that they'll sell when the price is right.
So we're about to tell people about airdrops. I mean, is that kind of what we're talking about here, where someone's pre-mined something, just giving away tokens, or
they're a bit different in that sense, because here, with airdrops and like in hill farming and so on, the rules are the same, are equal for everybody. They are written in the smart contract. It's not that like you launch a project, you have like your bag ready basically with all your token, and then you go in the market and you're like, okay, you want to buy this, I give this percentage to people and so on. When you're creating like a DeFi project, you have like that contract, the smart contract is setting all of those rules. You don't really have the access to those coins right now. I'm not saying that this is the case for everybody, by the way. I'm quite sure that there is at least one project that is like still doing that in a pre-mine way, and we know the rules. Like the SEC is going to go after them sooner or later. Because
I guess just before we move into some reviews here and some other news, I guess the question I want to ask you guys is, to what degree are your investment strategy in the crypto space at the moment? Is there anything that is sort of making you think, okay, governance tokens, the companies that are based out of the US, they're likely to disappear, therefore I want to get out of that project? Or clearly we're seeing how regulation is about to come in here. How is it affecting how you are investing right now, either of you? Is it on your radar, or does it affect investment decisions? Are you selling certain projects that you think might be hit with a stick here?
Well, that's kept me off Binance chain, pretty much. Like I'm not like 100%. It's all legal. Like Binance still has a bit of a cloud, and then this whole decentralized, centralized DeFi or whatever the fuck they call it. And the fact that there's only what do they have, 21 nodes, and they're all run by Binance. That kind of stuff. I mean, combine a bit of a shady project with shady regulations, and I'll stay away from it. But you can trade most things just as long as you aren't holding the bag for 5 years, right?
Okay, Stefano.
Well, for my line of work, it would be like insane to say that like this thing has changed. Like I deal with this type of conversation on the daily. Like the clients that we have are actually asking us how to have structures that can take them out of issues and problems and stuff like that. On the other side, do I believe that we are actually seeing tokens that are like 100% not allowed, but that they are actually still like going around? Yes. And we also mentioned some of those projects on previous episodes. Do I hold those projects? Yes. Do I know that if as soon as like someone is going to knock the door, those value are going to like go to zero? Yes.
What happened on DMG, which we, I think it was one of the very first projects we looked at on this show.
And that's the thing. So it gets to that point of like asking yourself, like there are obviously, once you have that knowledge and you're like, you understand what is happening, and you're like, okay, I know that this project can go to zero because of this, this, and this. I know that what they're doing is like 100% illegal. You take your risk. You know exactly what you're doing. So at that point, you just need to like being monitoring very closely everything that is happening and trying to jump boat before it happens. But that to me has been like the same strategy since day one. Jorden has mentioned like Binance Smart Chain and so on. As again, like I mentioned that in the past, but like there are videos of like years ago that where we're talking about this, and I say that like I never had an account on Binance. I don't use Binance. Did that change to me because of like what is happening now? No. It's because it's like what the regulators are doing now is not like new. It's not like, oh my God, this is such a surprise. They're following the law, and the law has been in place since ever. Like, you just need to read that and be like, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, innovation is, well, not unfortunately, very fortunately. I mean, the innovation is just outpacing law. I mean, in many countries, passing a law, it's lagging years behind the innovation we're seeing here. And it's an explosion, especially in DeFi. It's very heartening to see a lot of very respectable commentators out there coming into the space now and saying, okay, this is for real. But yeah, the
Look at some of the legal issues around NFTs, man. Holy fuck.
What was that?
Look at some of the legal issues around NFTs between copyright infringement, like the whole hosting and the companies holding. There's so much blatant rip-off stuff. Everything's so derivative. Like, there's no original ideas. What is it? DC came out and gave one of the artists shit that used to work for them and said, you cannot sell DC images as an NFT, right? And then so much of the content is like, fan art or based on other commercial properties, so we're going to start seeing stuff like that, where you're going to see IP rights coming into it. And, that's totally foggy. Like, there's absolutely no clarity there, right?
I disagree. I think that there is no historical, but it's pretty clear. If you take, for example, like the DCKs, like, when you were working as an artist, it depends on your contract. Your contract can say that, like, you co-own the right of the things, or it can say that because you're hired by the company, the IP is 100% of the company that hired you. If that is the case, they can sue. If the guy got even $1, they can sue. They have the right to do that.
Well, there's, the foggy area has been even before NFTs, though. You get comic artists, they go to cons and they do commissions for people drawing everybody's characters except for their own, because nobody knows my characters. They only want to see me draw fucking Wolverine or Batman, right? And they'll pay you money and you make money off of it. And, that's always been a really great area. There's, I've heard news sometimes of them cracking down on that stuff, but like, that's bread and butter for most comic book artists, because you don't make enough money working for Marvel or DC. So they go to the conventions and they make their secondary income selling commissions of these trademark characters, right? And so that's happening in NFTs as well. So much of the art is derivative, it's like fan art. And then you get to the remix culture, where it's like, okay, well, it's a derivative piece of artwork. Yes, the base was Batman, but then I changed his hair and I gave him different powers, and, then it becomes derivative, and then it's a remix. And then same thing in music. It's like, well, it's kind of original, but it's still, you can see the source, right? So everything's going digital, everything's getting remixed, everything's derivative, and it's just all turning into this massive pile of, if you mint it, it's yours, right? So there's interesting stuff happening, and I mean, like, what was it? BitClout is one that I wouldn't touch because of the regulation. They're already getting sued for cease and desist, for, what is it? Illegal representation, right? Of all these influencers, the ones that want to get in there, and they're in on the pre-mine. They're fucking pushing that shit, getting everybody to buy it and, pumping it. And then the ones that aren't in on the pre-mine, they're like, hey, you're using my image without my consent, and now you want me to pay for it? Like, so that's one that I'm staying away from because of regulation.
Yeah, but that goes like perfectly on the conversation. Like, it's one of those things that, like, this didn't change because now the SEC has decided to go against Ripple or like on LBRY. This has always been the case. Like, even in 2017, in 2018, we've seen things like that happening. Like, it defines like who you are as like the type of investor, the type of like trader, the type of like user in the space that you want to be. There are tons of people that they don't care at all about those type of things, and they take their risk. And there are others that are just like, no, okay, I have a morals, and it's stopped there, and that's it, done.
Okay, the other big stories from Cointelegraph. I'm going to say Cointelegraph. I used to hate this website back in 2017. It was the ultimate bullshit shill. But yeah, it's getting better, but we're still, we got some great ones here. We got one BTC will be worth a Lambo by 2022. What do you reckon?
I want that.
Depends how much a Lambo's worth. It might only be electric cars then.
Yeah, I mean,
it's in 1 year. Like,
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to this one. We were talking about this before. Michael Jordan, Will Smith.
the NFT is reaching like epic bubble proportions here. You got crypto.com. They're releasing NFTs now with collaborations with Snoop Dogg and Boy George and Lionel Richie and Race Cars. And they pretty much just, like Stefano was saying, a copy paste of, other platforms. And then you're getting Snoop, Michael Jordan here, and Will Smith dropping $305 million in a Top Shots. Holy shit. And then Snoop was collaborating with Beeple on that Crow thing, right? SNL did that skit on Saturday, which is super funny. What the hell is NFTs?
Well, we're just talking about copyright claims. We tried to post that on our last video, and the video got it was unviewable.
By the way, the only person in the entire story that we're talking that literally have enough knowledge to invest on something relating to MBAs is Michael Jordan. Like, I don't care if we're in an NFTs bubble or not. Michael Jordan going into NBA Top Shot, it's not a proof of a bubble. Will Smith, yes, it is, but it's not. Will Smith, yes, of course, we're in a bubble. We're going to lose all the money that we haven't sought. Michael Jordan, proof of concept, the system is working. The market is good. The product is valid.
I mean, if there's a guy that's made more money off collectibles, sporting collectibles, it's probably Michael Jordan. Holy shit.
That's a thing.
Like, how much?
So are you either of you guys in NFT projects? I mean, Jordan, I thought you've just taken a job with one and you're calling it a bubble.
Yeah, but it's the same as the ICO and it's the same as crypto. Like, there's a bubble, but the bubble prevention is build, create stuff, have a good community, provide use cases for your project. That's it. Like, I'm talking about hype ass bullshit, Pablo Picasso, crypto punks, like selling for 25, 30 ETH. It's like a derivative of a derivative mixed with a derivative, and like people with too much money just throwing money and inflating values and sucking in noobs, and all they see is these big numbers. They're not seeing the substance behind it, right? They're just seeing the gains and the 10x and the 50x and the 100x, and they're like, oh, I gotta buy this, and then they get wrecked, and then that's when the bubble starts popping. Then the whales realize, oh, okay, well, we've pushed our luck, we've to the ceiling. Now we can just drain it back to where it was before, right? But the stuff that actually has real use case, and they built projects, they have communities, those will survive. I mean, look at our projects, like most of the best ones, they started building in 2018, right?
On that note, let's have a look. Let's see how previously looked at projects are doing.
August down 11%. Oh my God.
I was looking at the current value of the oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, but this is standard, right? Like, people say, oh, it's down 11% this week. Yeah, but like, it's up 1,500%.
No, it's down 11%. It's red. We need to sell everything.
Sell it.
That's it. The project is dead.
They had their new liquidity event where they're moving chains, and they're giving great bonuses on people, using FRM. They're teamed up with FRM to do another IDO for liquidity on the next chain. So, I mean, Ferrum, I don't know how Ferrum, but it just doesn't seem to stop. It just keeps going. They just keep adding more partners, adding more to the ecosystem, more products for staking, all that kind of stuff. Axie just chugging away, getting better, bigger. Even with the gas fees, they're still cranking up the users. The marketplace is getting more value. I mean, I've been stacking that like you can't believe AXS. So I'm so bullish on Axie right now. Once Ronin comes around, it's just going to go crazy. Let's see. What do we got? The next one, Block Duelers. My boys doing awesome. Man, we almost touched 700 here like a couple minutes ago. So 675, that's going crazy right now. We've got the product launch coming tomorrow. April 1st. Yep, April 1st. We got the MVP. So we've been doing the beta testing and trying the game out. It's super fun. Everybody's like, oh my God, it's addictive. I'm like, yeah. So that's a good thing. So it's super simple. Rochambeau, you play your cards, you win some tokens, right? Battle each other. So that's coming up. Bonk has some big news. Mega Bonk. They're doing their token swap this weekend. So if you have bonks still, if you have it staked, any bonks, there's going to be a window where you're going to be able to switch your bonk to mega bonk, and it's going to be 1-to-1. It's going to have the same supply, the same value, but there's an article on the bonk website and in the bonk telegrams. Check it out because there's some important information there. So if you
maybe we should, we're doing a live show Fridays. Maybe we should try and get someone from that project on just to flag that, because it's going to be a lot of pissed off people if you're not aware of this and you don't swap them. I'm hearing that you just lose the tokens if you don't do that, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but we'll have to talk to CLZ and see. I mean, like MCO, I guess. What's MCO doing right now?
$500. I don't know. Like, I'm completely random on that. But sorry, Jordan, one thing, because you mentioned like if you're not staked, and if you are staked, what do you do?
Yeah, if you're staked, you still got to unstake. And CLC had mentioned that there's going to be some kind of compensation for anybody that's unstaked to compensate the loss in the staking, because you lose 9% when you unstake. So yeah, we can get him on and get him to clarify everything, but there's details in the Medium articles you can check out. So
link below, people. Cyberfi, this is the project we're about to have another look at in a moment.
Shout out to those guys again. You know, from the interview, I've been contacted to do some NFTs for them, which is not even on the radar yet. It's coming up probably in the next couple months. But what they're doing is they're doing a new IDO, initial DEX offering. So they've kindly donated 50 Cyberfi for us, so we can now participate in an IDO as a crew.
Thank you very much to those guys. And long form interview was posted yesterday. Link below. Check it out.
So that will allow us a $250 allocation in the next IDO coming up, which is called Artex, which is a lot of stuff we've kind of been talking about. You know, like a passive fund that farms, it's yield feeding, they call it. So that sounds interesting. I'm going to take a punt on it because personally I had some Cyberfi, because, you know, I've been telling people to buy Cyberfi since it was like $3 on this show. I don't know, we didn't really feature it, but I've mentioned it. If anybody listened, you guys rock, and you're probably pretty happy right now because it touched like $70. So that's, you know, it's gone crazy. It's over $100 million market cap. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry. And
Tony Gonzo's rich, people.
They've also donated $500 worth of Cyberfi that we're going to give away on an upcoming show. So that's super sweet. And
I think we're doing that this Friday, no? Live show.
Not confirmed. We're trying to do that for Friday, but we will definitely give away $500 of Cyberfi. Not confirmed when. Okay. And the other nice giveaway that they had is that they've got NFTs that they're using for allocations in their IDOs. So if you have a platinum NFT, it will allow you the platinum allocation in the next IDO. So yeah, there's going to be 2 nice prizes from them coming up, which is super great. We've kind of got our glossy over to here, the DMM, which has kind of gone the way of the SEC. Ethanol, which is, I don't know what is going on there, but not much. And then we got our Hex, which keeps chugging along, another 40% this week, up to 300, which is pretty decent. I don't know.
So I was watching one of Richard Hart's live videos the other week. I will reach out to him and get him back on this show. It's been one of the interviews I enjoyed more than most. Yeah, and Lex Friedman, who's one of my favorite podcasters, was in the chat group. And of course, I assumed it was a fake profile. Turns out it's not. And Lex Friedman was giving shout outs to Richard Hart on his podcast the other day. He covers a lot of crypto, AI. He's an MIT lecturer. Check out his podcast. I'll put a link below. But yeah, he gave a shout out to Richard Hart. It looks like he'll be on that show as well, which fascinated me. So yeah, Hexagons will be very happy about that. And here we go, 40% pump.
Yeah. So that's doing decent. I mean, I'm not sure there's much news there, is there? It's just kind of like chugging along, right?
The fact that he's going to show up on one of the most watched podcasters in the tech space, I think, is huge.
Oh,
so it's an intelligent, moneyed up crowd that watch that channel. So that'll be very big potentially for Hex. Well, possibly already is, looking at the price move.
Everybody's buying the rumor, right?
I don't know, man. I mean, if you have a guy like that getting you on a show and calling you out in your project, it's only a good thing for Hex. So yeah, let's see.
Yeah, man. Cardia Chain did 20% this week. I'm not sure what kind of news was happening there, but I think it's just overall market, man. Everything's going up. It was a good week for everything. Mantra DAO, kind of similar, trucking along, gaining. Modify just did like 40%, not in the 7 days, but kind of the last 24 hours. They've announced that their staking is imminent. So they're upgrading the website, and the staking should go live here. It seems like in the next couple of days, ready to do that for sure. That'll be great. Pretty excited about that one. I've padded my bags out a little bit personally on that one. And I also going to stake them up as soon as it's available on our hard forking wallets, which is super cool. Pump, dump, Dagon. Actually, there's rumors that guy's back. That the guy that's a scammer, Kajin. I've heard that he's back in crypto now, scamming people again in another project. If I can never change. So stupid. So, and then we got a pirate chain. Pirate chain is just going to be there until it becomes the bee's knees, waiting for that privacy crackdown. The SEC is happening. So so sooner or later, people are going to wise up to privacy. And I'm still super bullish on pirate chain. Unitrade, they've migrated and they're going cross-chain now with BSC, and it's given them some new life, which is kind of nice. So yeah, everything else.
Very good. Very good. And shout out to Vesser. I actually spoke to him the other night. We will get him back on in the next week or two at the absolute latest. Thanks for that, Jorden. So how about we move into having a look at Cyberfi, the latest project that we have covered. So, sir, do you want to kick that conversation off? Stefano, unfortunately, that was like 3 o'clock in the morning for you, so you weren't on that initial chat, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts. But Jorden, if you could do a presentation for the audience on exactly who Cyberfi are.
Okay. Cyberfi is basically a nice little platform that helps you maximize your gains for DeFi. As Gerald explained, a lot of the problems in DeFi are linked to liquidity, right? So what they've done is they figured out a way to automate a lot of, like you got to stake, you got to approve your token, you got to move it over here for this gain, and then that one goes away, and then you move it to another one. So they've developed a lot of like tools that will allow you to maximize your gains, just moving from pool to pool, as opposed to like having to manually go in and stay on top of everything and then withdraw and then convert and find the new token and go to the new exchange and stake and all that stuff. They've made it a lot easier. One of the really cool features that he was talking about was the whole because your wallet is connected, your spending habits or your investing habits are all logged into their system. So they've got some AI and some algorithms that'll alert you like, hey, you got like $10,000 in capital sitting here not doing anything. How about you put it in here and you can make this many gains for this amount of time? So that's kind of cool. And they're kind of doing a whole suite of different things. And the kind of one that's getting the hype right now is the IDO. They've got an IDO suite, which is like, IDOs, everybody's doing IDOs now, which is an initial DEX offering. Which is kind of the evolution of an STO from Wall Street. And then it evolved into ICO when Ethereum first came out with the smart contracts, right? Initial coin offering. So basically you give a company some money based on an idea, you send it to them, and you hope they send you some tokens back. So now it's evolved to the IDO, which is the initial DEX offering. So it's in a decentralized exchange. So it's relieved a lot of the trust issues, right? The smart contract is legit. You put money in, you get tokens back. You don't have to rely on a middleman and a third party. And then in the middle there was for a little bit, there was the IEOs, which was the initial exchange offering, where you had the big middleman standing in and being the middleman for everybody, vetting the companies and providing liquidity and all that kind of stuff. So now Cyberfi has an IDO coming up here in the next week, I think, but it's called Artex, and it's along the same vein as what they do, Cyberfi, in regards to, like, they call it yield feeding. So, you know, another tool to make passive gains on the capital that you have already with your crypto. So, you know, we're all into that. You know, once you start building up a bag and you don't want to degen trade all day and stare at charts, you know, maybe you just want to deposit some money and earn some passive for a year, make some 10-15% gains without having to think about it. I know that's where I'm getting to. Want to take it easy, sit on the beach, draw some funny pictures, you know. So Cyberfi, you know, there's a couple concerns, you know, like the anonymous guy. Publicly, he's anonymous. I mean, I've seen him, I've met him. Most of the team know who he is. Anybody that's on the inside of that project know who he is. So it's not completely anonymous. And they have, you know, like a figurehead, Austin. He's doing a lot of the PR for them. So it's not like you're talking to a complete blank screen. But great project. The market cap is growing. I mean, how many times do we say, oh, it's too late for Cyberfi, we can't feature this? It's like 5x, it's 10x, right? Like, how many times do we say that? I think about 3 times, at like $10, at $12, at like $25, at $40. Today, $77, which is pretty insane. So yeah, kind of cool project. I'm stoked we finally got it on, and we'll have some more updates when you guys get to see my fancy NFTs that I made for them.
Okay.
And you're going to have to hold them to get awesome gains, which is kind of neat too. I like that.
Stefano, what do you tell us your thoughts on Cyberfi?
I like it in a super easy way. And it's basically like that thing that, like, if you are in DeFi, if you're used of like jumping and exiting from, like, you know, liquidity pool and having like that specific yield farming that lasts for like a week, and then like we literally just say this: if you're not doing the migration on Bonk, you lose your token. Now that's an example, but like you get in some situation where you might be like in a pool, and then the pool, it lasts for like 2 weeks, and then like if you don't claim your gains, those gains are gone. And so it obviously gets the limit that you as a person, you know, you can do like a specific amount of actions. What Cyberfi is doing is bringing the tech to help you to basically like multiply that and be like on top of multiple things all at the same time. Plus, they also have like that part that you can plan the future of a specific token. So like Jorden was mentioning like that AI part of like, hey, you have those $10,000, why don't you do X, Epsilon, and Z? But where I'm really interested in is the fact that not only you can program and plan like 5 transactions all at the same time at the cost of 1, but you can also let the system knowing that not only you want those initial 5 actions to happen, but then when result X or result Epsilon has achieved, then you want to have another series of 5 action that are going to like move you to something else. So it's not like only from A to B, but it's from A to B to C. And this is huge. For someone that is in DeFi, is a no-brainer because it helps you a lot. Like just try to do things like that, and you really understand why something like that is so easy and so important for the space. So yeah, I like it. That's the only thing.
3 words: trailing stop loss. Do you know how those work, Sean? Do you know?
Of course.
I'm serious.
Yes.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, it's because it's quite an advanced tool. Most of the exchanges, I don't know any exchange that has a trailing stop loss, because you're going to take their money if you have a trailing stop loss. So basically what a trailing stop loss is if you get these giant pumps, right? And you have a target.
Bybit has trailing stop losses. I use it on Bybit on the daily.
Oh, good. Nice. That's good. Because that's the only one I can think of as a major exchange. Like there's add-on tools with bots.
I'm actually really, you know, I think leverage exchanges are for experienced traders, but I've been using Bybit on the daily now for a month. It took me a few days to wrap my head around it, but they've actually got a test net on there if you do want to check it out. So for you guys, that's the real innovation here. It's simplifying that DeFi process for everybody. I mean, how many times have we looked at DeFi, and there's been so many times where I've scratched my head and gone, oh my God, that is a lot to wrap your head around. Is this one of the better offerings you're seeing? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, imagine if they're like one of the main point that is not there yet, but imagine like we did an entire video on how to move from layer 1 to layer 2, for how to move from Ethereum to Polygon and how to start using QuickSwap and this and that. Like imagine if like you can do that simple thing in one single transaction of like not even having to change the RPC to log into Polygon.
Yeah.
Like it's really make things easy for everybody at that point, because you have only one entry point, only one. The funnel is designed in a way that like you start from there, and then how complicated you want the model to be, it's up to you. But it's not the tech that like gives you the limits of like, oh wait, I need to change this, I need to keep track of that, so I'm not gonna do that because now it's overcomplicated, like I can't handle with that. That's it's a problem that is completely removed now. So it's cool.
I mean, banks, we all rip on banks, fuck the banks and all that shit. But it's like going to the bank. You owe up to the teller and I want my $50. Now in DeFi, we're at the point where you have to know, like you basically have to be the banker. You have to know which drawer has the currency that you want. You have to know which ledger to put the entry into. Then you have to know which message to send to the guy above. And then you have to, so there's all these steps that happen behind the scenes that, when you're at a bank, you just ask for your money, you get your money, right? And we're not there yet with DeFi. So all these tools are helping with that, make it more seamless and simpler. The last couple projects, I've been looking at really closely is this exact thing, Yield, Cyberfi. So things that help you just not have to pay so much attention and just idiot proof a lot of these things. So.
Oh yeah, look, absolutely. As you guys have been talking about my crypto meetups with some noobs, and it's so complicated for people that are just coming into the space. They're buying these tokens, but to get that yield is even for me now, looking at a lot of these projects, I'm like, my God, it's so much to absorb. So people that are going to simplify that process clearly are going to win. We'll be looking at this project on the weekly. Hopefully we've got some tokens to give away on Friday. We'll check us out on Twitter. We'll confirm that tomorrow, but I'm pretty sure that's happening. But we are giving away more prizes on Friday. So we've got some more XE scholarships. Is that correct?
Yep. We've had a bit of a snag here. I have to apologize to the people that won the scholarships from last week. Your teams are still there. We just have a bit of a technical hiccup here, sorting out some email issues, but we'll sort that out soon.
Okay.
Sorry. But you know what? I want to give a shout out to all our scholars. They're doing great. Jaxie, Ferdinand, Jesus, Laura, Obando, Marcus. They're all doing great, man. Like these guys, they're so into it. They're stoked. They're having fun. I think we got a nice little community going there. You ever check out that Filipino channel? Oh man, there's so much stuff going on there. It's great. The Venezuelan one's picking up, so that's good, man.
Welcome to everyone that has joined the Hard Forking Discord. The link is below, and if you're not in there, please join us. So what else have we got to pass on to the audience today, guys, before we go live Friday? Actually, I just want to say on Friday, please, we're trying to turn it into an educational experience. I know, there's clearly a percentage of people that are showing up to try and win a prize, and that's fine by us. But bring us your questions as well. We're here to help. That's kind of the whole point of that that live show. So fire the questions. Even if you've got something you want to put into Discord, so we can sort of prep before that show, that'll be great for us. So anything else before we wrap for today, Stefano? Anything in closing from you?
Yes. I want to
the airdrops. You were going to tell people about that.
Indeed. So a couple of things in that. Let me regain power of the situation over here. So number one, Aavegotchi season 1. It's about to start by about the 20th of April. So there's still time. Don't worry about that. But the cool part of that is that the season is going to give away $2 million on a period of 8 weeks. Now, on those 8 weeks, they're going to have like competition of 2 weeks each. So you're going to have like 4 competitions, and they're dividing in 3 different categories. So it's all written like in their Medium article if you want to have a look over there. Basically, you got a competition for the rarity score, for petting your Aavegotchi, and for basically like experience, so voting in the DAO and stuff like that. Now, if you want to go into details, just read the thing, obviously. But here's where the cool things come in place. There are currently only 10,000 portals that have been released in the game, and there are less than 5,000 Aavegotchi that is being summoned in the game. Also, the initial idea for season 1 was that the top 2,000 players on each of the 3 category was going to get a reward. Now, here as you can see that like if you're the first one, by the way, you're going to win an insane amount of money, because like if you're the first one on rarity score, you're going to bring home like $150,000 in prizes, which is not bad. But the main point is that like they had a vote because they received so much money, and now it's not the top 2,000 Aavegotchi that is going to receive a prize, but it's the top 5,000. Which basically means that if you have an Aavegotchi, showing up means that you're going to win a prize, at least the last one, on every 3 of the competitions, which is amazing because you can't have it easier than this. Like, it's a secure win thing.
Be right back. Going to buy Aavegotchis.
Huh?
Be right back. Going to buy Aavegotchis.
Exactly. Well, you
So this is obviously like the first thing. It's going to be a little bit of a long season, but like Aavegotchi is a game. They're trying to become like a little bit of that season approach, like X is doing, like that they have their season. So it's very interesting because like, you know, this is going to be just number 1, but in the future, they're going to like develop more things. The cool part is, yes, you're going to make money by simply if you have an Aavegotchi, basically. The second thing is the Force DAO is going to have like an airdrop. Now, I'm not going to go into too many details and so on, like what the Force DAO is. Same thing that we've seen like with Paint, with Combat, Crypto Combat, and, you know, all of this stuff and so on. There are like so many airdrops at this point popping up. But the main point is that like, why is this interesting? Because this covers layer 1, but also layer 2. This is like where it's very, very cool. So potentially you might actually like getting a double airdrop on that. So layer 1, it means like it's a classic similar to the one that has like the elephant, the DAO that has the elephant. Don't remember that. But it's super simple. In order to like be one of the members that like can receive an airdrop, you need to be like a member into some of the DAOs or like the DeFi projects that are available. You need at least one. So you got Aave, Alchemix, Badger, Balancer, Curve, MakerDAO, Synthetic, Sushi, Vesper, and Yearn. So those communities are pretty famous, majority of them. But if you're part of those, you can claim the airdrop. Where the innovation comes is that it also goes on layer 2. So not only on Ethereum, but if you're part also of BSC, Polygon, XDAI, or Phantom, you can actually claim your airdrop in the future. The time frame is different. For layer 1, you're looking at from the 3rd of April, so coming soon, pretty like the weekend, I think it is, something like that, till April 24th. And then the layer 2, which is the one for like XDAI, Polygon, and so on, goes from April 15th till April 24th. So if you have tokens, government tokens in like those projects and so on, you vote in those DAOs and things like that, or like you're part of like what is happening around there, make sure to check like the Force DAO, basically like next week if you're on layer 1, and in 2 weeks if you're on layer 2, and get some free tokens. That's it.
There you go. Free.
Give me that money. Give me that free money.
Absolutely.
Give me.
Plenty of it. Yep. So look, thank you guys. Lots of great information again today. And we will be back tomorrow for our live show. So please get along and join us for that. More prizes and bring us your questions. It's, the whole point of that show is it's a bit of a rambling conversation. We want to hang out with you guys for a couple of hours and take your questions and give away some prizes, teach you about blockchain. This is the most exciting thing happening in the world, or at least we think so. And it's great to hang out with you all and share a bit of knowledge with you. Got some really knowledgeable people that are doing this all for free. So we look forward to seeing you. And Jorden, just any parting comments or thoughts for the audience before we go?
Not really, guys. Keep it up. We're killing it. It's a great time right now. I watched another. We are in the middle of a revolution right now. Like things are changing. The technology is evolving so fast. Get in there, experience it, try stuff out. You're not going to regret it. You might get burnt once or twice. You might get rugged. You might get scammed. But you know what? We all have. If you haven't been, you're not doing it right. So get in there, try it out. I'm serious. You've been scammed, right, Sean? Yeah. I mean, if you haven't been scammed in crypto, you're not fucking doing it right. Seriously, because it's all about innovation and it's all about trying new things, right? And the legit projects will try new things and they sound like scams. Like, look at Richard Hart with his Hex. How many people are still calling it a scam, right? Because it sounds too good to be true. It's a scam, right? And some things are like that and they are too good to be true. And if you're adventurous and you're going to take some risks, then you will get burnt once in a while, right? But it's all about risk management. So you got to have that, I want to try stuff, but I'm not going to go crazy, right?
Yeah, so, that's good thought. I'm just trying to think. Have I been scammed? I lost my family tokens 2 weeks ago, but they appear to be back. That price is right back to where it was. So shout out to a wonderful friend of this channel, Didi. We're going to have him back on in the very near future. So he was due back on last week, but obviously that project got hacked, but yeah, it appears like the value is back to exactly where it was. So we'll hear about that from him coming up. But other than that, no, I don't think I've
DMG.
I don't consider that a scam. I consider that, we talked about this earlier in the show. I think there's going to be a hell of a lot of projects that will find themselves in exactly the same position, and it's something I think we need to be looking at. Clearly. It's how we started this show, looking at who Coinbase and Binance have hired. The space is evolving. But
in the case of DMG, is not a scam, but there is one thing, actually. We raised that question, is this a security or not? And the answer that we got was, no, of course not. It's everything okay. And then it turned out that the SEC was like, no, this is a security.
Stefano works for the SEC. He knows.
Yeah, I know nothing, I just asked the questions but I'm a kid. I obviously have no knowledge of what I'm talking about.
But, it's not like it's your job or anything to know this stuff, right?
No, of course. You run a project, take hundreds of millions of dollars from people. How can that be your job to know if you're running?
Make sure that they're regulated and they're not going to get their asses sued for some stupid shit like putting a rocket in their white paper.
Oh my those type of things. No, but the main point on that is that I agree with Jorden on that. We're in a space where, like, yes, you need at least once to lose your money. Not because, it's not a nice feeling or anything like that, or it sucks, obviously, but it's one of those things that, it gives you that idea that you're part of this community at that point, because you're trying something new that never happened before, or you're also getting a slap in the face with reality that it is also up to you to know these things. If the CEO of the project that you're putting the money in doesn't even know A, B, and C, it is your responsibility to know not only A, B, and C, but D, E, and F as well. You need to be a step ahead of everything in the market. And it's impossible because you're a human being, obviously. So it's gonna happen. It has to happen. It's math. It has to happen.
Look, absolutely. And you guys are. There's not many people in this space that really do sort of get in there and try as many things as you do. And but the key thing that you've been saying since we began this show, 8, 9, 10 months ago, is get in there, try things, but do it. Have a level of risk that's acceptable to you. There's huge money to be made, but yeah, I agree with you. And I applaud the fact that you have tried so many things. We've brought many to the audience on this show, and we'll continue to do that. So happy hunting out there, people. You know, but do your homework. We're here to help. Join us on Friday with your questions. On that note, see you then.
Later, guys.
Bye. See you later. We love you.
1 BTC in 32 ETH.